Hello and welcome to this new Android development course. This is part 1 on how to make a to-do list application for Android. This will be a very fun project. I hope you enjoy it and let's start. Okay, so we have to open our Android Studio IDE and we will click on Start a new Android Studio project. I am using the Android Studio version 3.4, but you can use any other version because this is pretty basic and it won't be very different of the version you will be using. Okay, now we have to choose the kind of project we want to do. We will click on empty activity and we will click on next. As the name of our application, we will set this to do list, okay, because we will create a to-do list. Okay, then what we have to do is we have to, if you want, you can change the package name, which is kind of an identifier of your application, or you can even change the save location. Okay, but I will leave this as it is and make sure the selected language is Java. We will select the minimum API level to 14. And if you have the option, if your IDE has this box available right here, which says use Android X dot asterisk artifacts, you will click here. Well, what this is basically, it's kind of a new naming scheme of Google that makes things more ordered. But if you don't have it, don't worry, you won't notice the difference. Just is kind of a recommendation, but not a must. So if your IDE doesn't have this option, you don't have to check it. If you have the option, you can check it. So that's kind of a, it's optional. I recommend you to check it and then click on finish. Now we have to wait for the IDE to load and set up our Android Studio project, and I will be running this project on an emulator. You can do it on an emulator or on a real device. If you want to do it in an emulator, you will basically go to Tools, AVD Manager, which means Android Virtual Device Manager, and you will create a virtual device, which is pretty straightforward. But if you want to run it on a real device, you don't need to do that. Okay, so now that the app has finished being set up, it's ready. Now we can try to run it right away on the emulator. So I will run it. In this case, my emulator is called Android Pie Emulator, which is running Android Pie version 9 API 28. Since I will be running all the times on this emulator, I will check this box down here that says use same selection for future launches, and then I'll click on OK. Oh, to run you can press Shift F10, or you can also go to the Run menu right here and then click on Run. Okay, as you can see here is the first option, and here even has the Shift F10 shortcut. Okay, so we wait for the app to be compiled and sent to the emulator, and this is what we will be seeing on the emulator. We will be seeing the top bar, we will see the to-do list title, and we will see a hello world text view that the IDE has auto-generated for us, which is awesome. If we go inside the main activity.java, which is the main file of our application, and inside the only method that we can see, which is the onCreate method, the only line that we can see is the set content view that are the layout.activity main. And activity main is an XML file that defines the UI or the layout of our activity. To find that file, you can click here at the top, which is opened by default by the IDE, but if you don't have that, you have to go under the rest folder here at the left, and then under the layout folder, and you will find the activity main.xml file. Okay, so this file, as you can see, is using a constraint layout. which is kind of an advanced layout that enables you to do some fancy things, but we don't need that because we want our app to be simple, right? So we will delete this file. To delete this file, we will right click on it and then click on delete. And if you have these box checked, please uncheck them and click on OK. Now we're gonna create it again. So as you can see, this activity main is in red because we have deleted the file. So we have to create it again, but this time we will use a simpler layout mode. To do that, we will right click on the layout folder, then we will go to the top to the new menu, and then we will click on layout resource file. Okay, and as file name, we will write the same file name we had previously, which is activity underscore main. Oops, activity underscore main. And as root element, please make sure you have linear layout. Okay, and then you click on OK, and the IDE will generate this code. So right here, you can switch between design view and text view, design mode and text mode. And if you go to text mode, you can see that now it says that it is a linear layout, which is awesome and exactly what we need. Now, to test this again, we will run the application to check if it is still working. So this is the emulator and this is the app to the list, but this time it doesn't have the text view because we haven't added yet. Okay. So how do we want to start with our to-do list application? Well, first, we want to be able to show a list of tasks in which we can add new tasks to the list and also delete the tasks when we have completed them or some sort of thing, right? So the widget that enables us to do that is a list view. So you're gonna say list view, and as width will be setting this to match parent, and as height we'll be setting it to 0 dp and weight 1. Why do I do this? Because this will enable us to later change or add new buttons if we want to. Of course, we also have to add an ID to this list view. So you're gonna say ID, and I will call it just list view. Now, if we go to the right side here at this bar right here, as I'm moving my mouse right now, we have the preview button. If we click on that, we can check how our layout will look like on the device. As you can see, it is showing the list view. So it has item 1, item 2, sub-items, and so on. So this is an example on how our list view will look like on our device. Okay, so we can close or open as we need it. Okay, great. Now that we have this list view, we want maybe to also have a way of adding new tasks. Okay, so to do that, we were gonna create a button before the list view, and so we will type button, and the width of the button will be match parent. The height can be, well, whatever you want. I will use 50 dp. I think that's a good height. Okay, and the text of this button will be new task, because when we press that button, we want to add a new task. And as you can see in the preview mode, we can see how the new task button will look like at the top of the screen, and after that we will have our list view in which our task to do will be shown. Okay, so now we have to switch to our main activity.java file to start coding and to start actually doing what we need. Okay, so inside the onCreate method, after we have done what we did on the XML file, we have to access the list view from here. So to do that, we're going to type final list view, and now we'll call it list view, and now we'll set this to find view by ID r.id.list view. Okay, so that's basically how we access the list view. But now, a list view needs an adapter. So what's an adapter? Well, an adapter is a class that takes care of displaying the information dynamically as we scroll through the list view. So we're gonna go outside the onCreate method and we will create the adapter class, which is a must, and we need that class in order for our list view to work. So this will be an inner class because it will be inside the main activity class. To create an inner class, we just type class, and in this case I will call this text adapter, and I will extend, so extend base adapter. Okay, great. Now I'll open this and I will start. As you can see, we have some warnings because we haven't overridden certain methods, so we're gonna do that just now. So we're gonna type add override public void get count. That's not void, sorry. Public int get count. So this method, what this method does is returns the amount of items, the amount of elements that our list view has. So inside this get count method, what we will do is we have to return the size. For now, we haven't set up the size yet, so we're gonna just return null for now. But then we have to go back here, or actually we will return 0, right? But then we will go back here and we have to return the actual size. Now after the get count, we have to override more methods. We will override the get item method. For that, we're gonna say add override public object get item. Okay, and as parameter, it will receive an integer which will specify the position of the item. So we may or may not use this because it's not a must. And in this case, we will just return null. But we have to override this. So this kind of mandatory to override it. Doesn't matter if you're gonna use those methods or not. Okay. Okay, that's the get item method. Now we also have to override the get item ID. So we're gonna say override public long get item ID. Okay, and again we have to receive an integer which is the position of the item as parameter, and inside this method we will return, let's return just 0 for now because we're not really using this. Okay, so that's basically things that we won't be using, but now we will write the things that we'll be using actually. And the first thing is the get view method, which is of course the most important method that will take care of showing the views. So you're gonna say override public view get view, sorry, remember to import the view class. So public view get view, and these parameters we have a couple here. The first one is the position, so int position the second one is the view that it's been passed. We'll call it view convert view. Okay. The third is the parent, which is a view group. So you're gonna say view group, view group, and they'll call it parent. We will open this method, and inside this we will create a layout inflator, which will basically inflate the layout, right? So I'm gonna say layout inflator. I'll call it inflator, and I'll set these to so let's cast it to layout inflator first. So parenthesis layout inflator, and we have to pass the contacts. So main activity dot these dot get system service. Okay, and inside this we will pass contacts with capital C. So contacts dot layout inflator service. So this basically enables us to set up the inflator for later use. So I will do this in 2 lines in order for you to better visualize it. So that's the layout inflator. Now we have to create a view or an item, but we have to also create that from XML. To do that from XML, we're gonna do the following. We're gonna open the layout folder right here. We'll right click on it and click new layout resource file, and the file name of these will be item, and root element can be linear layout. We don't really need it to be, but it can be because it enables us to expand it later if we want to. Okay, so we'll click on OK, and the item.xml is shown. We switch to text mode, and inside here, inside the linear layout, we will create a text view. So this text view, so this text view will show the information, the task itself. So the width of these will be match parent. The height of these will be maybe 50 dp. Actually, we will set the height of these to match parent, but the height of the layout will be set to 50 dp because we don't want it to cover the entire screen. So 50 dp, and as you can see, this is 50 dp, which is good enough. I think you can change it if you want it smaller or larger, but for now we will leave it on 50 dp. Okay, we have to add an ID to this text view. I will call it task because it will be showing the task, right? So we will also have a margin here to make the text look nicer. So you're gonna type margin, layout margin actually, and we'll set it to 16 dp because that's kind of the standard way of defining a margin. Okay, now we also set the gravity to center vertical in order for us to see it in a better, more organized way. So you're gonna say gravity center vertical. So all of these are just aesthetic changes that you can have different taste if you want. Okay, now we want to go and create a color. So to create a color, we go under the values folder and we open the color.xml file. And as default here, we have a couple of colors that the IDE has created for us previously. So we will add new color here and we'll call it black because we will be creating the black color. And a simple of saying a number sign or hashtag or whatever, and then followed by 6 zeros. Okay, so that's the black color. Why do we do this? Because we can access that from our item.xml file, and we can set this text view to be black. I mean the text color of the text view to be black. To do that, we're gonna say text color, and we'll type add color slash black. And that's basically how we create a text view with black text color. Now, we go back to our main activity.java file, and we will continue working on the getView method of our adapter. So we created the inflator previously, the layout inflator. Now we want to create the view. So we're gonna say view, row view, for example, and we'll set this to inflator that inflate r that layout that item comma parent, which is of course our parent, and we will set it attached to root, and we'll set that to false. Okay, so that's how we create our row view. Now we have to access the text view we created previously. So we're gonna say text view, and I'll call this just text view. And of course, again, don't forget to import text view class. Okay, text view, and here what we're gonna do is we're gonna set find view by ID r.id.task, because that was the ID of our text view. Okay, so far so good. So task is the ID of the text view. I mean, inside the item right here, this text view is called task, the ID task. Okay, so now that we have our getView method there, we want to have an ability to return the view. So right here we have to say return row view. But of course we have to update the text of the text view object. But we have to do it with the proper information. But we don't have that information yet. We don't even have a place to store that information. So to create a place to store that information, we're gonna go and we're gonna say inside the adapter, okay, just before the getCount method, we're gonna create an array list of strings that we can use. So we're gonna say list of string, okay. Of course, again, don't forget to import the list class, and I'll call it just list, and I'll set it to new array list. Okay, now we have to create a method that will enable us to load this list with the data from outside the text adapter world, as a way of saying it. So you're gonna say void set data, okay, and I will have to be receiving another array list. So you're gonna say list of string, and I will call it mlist just to differentiate it from the other. And what we will do is we're gonna say list.clear, so it will clear all the previous stuff that was on the list that we don't need anymore. And it's gonna say list.add all mlist. So basically it's saying add all the elements that you can find on the mlist. And after we've done this, we have to tell the adapter that we have new data, so the adapter has to update the contents, right? To do that, we're gonna just call the notify dataset changed. And that's basically how we update the data. Now, if we go back to the getView method, now we can actually update the text view using the data we already have, right? So you're gonna say text view dot set text, and you're gonna set it to list dot get, and I'll pass position. Okay, so we're basically saying that we want to get the position of the string at the list. Okay, and we pass the position, and we will set that information to the user in order for him or her to read. So basically that's it for the text adapter class, right? Yeah, I think that's it for the text adapter class. Now we have to keep setting up everything else from the onCreate method. So after we create the list view right here, we have to create an adapter. So we're gonna say maybe final a text adapter, actually was the class text adapter. I'll call it adapter, and I'll set this to new text adapter, as simple as that, and we have a new adapter. And then we're gonna call adapter that set the data, and I will have to pass the list, but we don't have that list yet, so we will go outside the onCreate method and we will type final list of string, and I'll set this to list new array list. Okay, so when I call adapter that set data, I'll pass the list, which contains the data I want to display to the user. And of course, after this, I'm gonna say list view that set adapter. So I am connecting the adapter to our list view. Okay, awesome. Now, as you remember, we had kind of a new task button. So we have to access that button from code. To do that, we're gonna say final button, and don't forget to import the button class, final button, new task, new task button is the name of our button. And I'll set this to find view by ID, r.id, r.id that new task button. What was the name of this? I don't remember. So we haven't created an ID. So we go to our activity main.xml, and for the button we create an ID which will be new task button. Okay, so now we can access the button from code. So find BYID new task button. Okay, and now we have our button created. Okay, now we have to set a click listener in order for us to know when that button is being clicked. For that, we're gonna say new task button that set on click listener, new on click listener, and inside this we're gonna do the following. When the user presses on the button, we want to show him or her a dialog in which we ask for the new task. So basically, it will say, please add your new task, and then the user will write the new task and press and enter, and the new task will be added to the list view. So we will do that in the next video, and in the next video we will also advance a bit more on the rest of the features. So that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I see you in the next one. Bye.